joining us for another remote broadcast of CrossTalk. My name is Kevin Tocci, coming to you from home base, although it doesn't look like that in my background. Just so you kind of feel the comfort and the coziness of CrossTalk, although some of the background has changed over the years. You don't have that stuff that's still on the curtains. But we've been using this remote system in order to keep you up to date, the residents we serve in both Whitman and Hanson, during these tough times, during these unprecedented times. COVID-19, who would have ever thought 2020, we saw it as, entering a new decade, a new time, and here we are, a mere 4 months in, and we're dealing with things like social distancing and sheltering in place. And this is made for changes, for many things that we've taken for granted. But joining us today to kind of talk about the changes that we've seen. And when we talk about essential services, my guest, Don Varley, town clerk in Whitman. Town clerk's office offers so many different services. And let's not forget, when it comes to town elections and town meeting, they are the pulse, they are the heartbeat of what goes on. They're essential. Don, thank you for taking a few moments to join me today to talk about how your office and how you're dealing with COVID-19 and trying to still offer services to the residents in Whitman.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a difficult task, but one we've conquered through. We do everything we can for the residents of Whitman and people who no longer live here, that were either born here, things like that. My office does provide a lot of things other than elections and town meeting. We do births, deaths, marriages. Those have been difficult times. Dog licensing will happen in July. That too. Sorry about that. Forget what's on and what's not on. Haven't even thought about that stuff because there's so much going on with elections and town meeting, dates changing. We still have to follow suit with the law, and you still have to have voter registration, and you still have, there's things that you still have to have for voting. We still have to have the town hall open for voters, as crazy as that is. I've lost many nights of sleep thinking about what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I use the stores, because like everybody, we all have to go to the stores as I'm looking at things that they're doing and what they're putting in place, what we can do. We can't turn voters away. We can't say, if you don't have a mask on, it's, you can't come in and vote. We can't say the seniors can vote from, 10 to 12 or whatever. We cannot restrict anything. So we have to be open for voters. That's as far as the town election. That's when the Board of Selectmen have the decision of the polling hours. As it stands, it's 9 to 5, and I have a feeling that that's what they're going to continue it to be. But that's the call of the Board of Selectmen. I've asked them to turn it to reduce it to 4 hours because the state has allowed early voting by mail, which is not something that you'll probably, hopefully, I hope you never see it again because of this, pandemic. But they're trying to reduce people showing up at the polls by allowing early voting by mail. And my office has done, or will do, everything we can to promote that. I didn't want to promote it too soon without having a date, but now that I have a date, then I can promote it more. I've thought about putting things in the newspaper because it is on the internet, but not everybody reads the internet. So like I said, I've tried to think of a lot of different things. Word of mouth is the best thing. And whether you live in Whitman or Brockton or Hanson or whatever, it doesn't matter. Every town in the state of Massachusetts will have early voting by mail. And I recommend that the viewers here, everybody tell your family. You can get the application online. Make copies of it. If you want to be a true friend to your friends, give them to your friends so they don't come down to vote. So that try to keep them safe, try to keep them at home, and do early voting by mail. If they don't know about it, if you don't pass it around, word of mouth, I think is probably the best thing. And let the town clerks handle your ballots, and they're definitely handled very securely and they're kept locked up. We've been doing absentee voting forever, and then we've done early voting for all the state elections, and you haven't seen any repercussions from that. Us clerks, like I said, we're loyal people, and this is our life. Our life is to make the residents of their community happy and give them their needs. So that's my splurge on that. So tell everybody about early voting. The application's online. You do have to fill out an application, and then what will happen, you have to submit that application to the clerk's office. It can come many ways. It can come via U.S. mail. We have a drop box here. You'd have to check with your local community what they use. You can fax it, so you can check the fax numbers. You can find them all on the website. It does not need to be a wet signature. It can be, like I said, a fax, an email, those types of things. But we do need the application. Once we receive the application, my ballot should be coming any day now. I've ordered them. They will say the date of the original election on them, because that's what most are going to say, and that's fine. They've made legislation to accept those ballots. Anyways, once we get your application, we're going to mail the ballot directly out to you right away. You can vote right away. You can hold on to it. The ballots can be delivered the day of the election. The sooner you give them to my office, actually, the better for my office, but you can wait until the day of the election. We've thought of many things as far as having a drive-through, a drive-up voting, and as clerks, we've tried to think outside of the box. Can we have elections outside? Can we, we're trying to, but the legislation has tied our hands on a lot of things. So we have to be open to, for the people who don't want to early vote. But I strongly recommend that you early vote and that you pass it along to your loved ones, even the people that you don't love. How's that? Just everybody.
How do you deal with folks who they want a birth certificate or a death certificate or a dog licenses, stuff like that? How are you doing regular business still doing that? Is it a matter of someone making an appointment? How have those services changed?
Well, we meet them at the door and we pass the certificate and the cash. We're not taking cards because that would involve us coming in and going back out, back and forth. I think too much passing of things. So they call us up, they tell us what they want, what they need. And, that has increased too, because Social Security, unemployment, health insurance, things like that. People getting, services from the state need to prove that they have children and need to prove that they're married. You need many different things. The registry of motor vehicles, they still need their the number off their birth certificate. They still need date of record. So we're meeting them. They're calling us. We check to see if we have it, and then we meet them at the door with the document, and they give us the money. And we usually ask them ahead of time, how are you paying, so that we can give them a receipt that shows, because I like to give people a receipt, but I'm not running back and forth. The most difficult, a couple of difficult things. Well, death is always difficult no matter what, but we're seeing, as far as deaths, a lot of these people that are passing away, if they're not passing away at home, are passing away in a facility or in a hospital, and the families are very sad because they aren't able to hold their loved one's hand when they cross over. And, we've seen a lot of tears, and boy, that is tough. It's really hard on any human soul, I think, to have that. And we've seen a lot more of that. We do burial permits as well. So that's been another thing. It's been, the burial permits have been like rush. Usually the funeral director will call our office and they go down, say, to the crematory or whatever, things are done, in a couple of days. But now those things have been rushed because the crematories are, I hate to say it, but they're busy and they've extended their hours. So when a funeral home calls me, they're like, can you do it now? And so those types of things have been rushed. Probably the most difficult thing is marriages, the marriage intention, because you have to be in person. And so what I've been doing is, I don't feel that it's fair to have my staff, Michael and Mary, expose themselves to people. So, or the town hall. So I meet them outside after hours, either on the weekends or like after 5 or something like that. We meet under the portico. So that way, if it's foul weather, we're not getting rained on, because we've had a couple of those. And I restrict, I kind of feel out my marriage intention people. If somebody's getting married in late June, I say, come back and, don't come, don't come now. Come, there's a 3-day hold, but come when it's closer to your wedding, because things could be different tomorrow, Kevin. We all know that. You never know. Next week, everything could be all different. And so, and I'm trying to restrict it to like just Whitman folks, people, I asked them, I don't know if it's legal, but I asked them, have you been exposed to COVID or anybody that, for my own safety? I don't want to risk my life either. I have an elderly mother that I take care of, and, she'd kill me for saying that, but a senior mom, how's that? And so that's been the most, the hardest thing is, and then business certificates. That's another one that, people need, especially now that they're giving the businesses the loan and different things, business certificates. They need, they've been in business and hadn't had one, or just different, different things. Like I always say about people getting married. Why are people getting married? Can't they wait? People get married for a lot of reasons, and some of it is health insurance, and some of them are related to, to the putting their loved one on health insurance with them. Their wedding is planned for November, or their wedding was planned for, so they just get married hastily. In fact, not that they don't love each other, but that's one of the things that's probably been the most difficult. And most town clerks are not doing them. So I get a lot of calls from out of town clerks, and we kind of have a list. I think Bridgewater is the closest town to us that's doing them, and I'm not sure if they still are even today. Like I said, everything changes every day, every second. So I try to help out as many, even if they're not town people. I have to feel it out. If it doesn't feel good, doesn't look good. I don't think I've said no to anybody, but when I go out there, I bring brand new pens. We have clipboards. I bring hand wipes so that we can all wipe down afterwards, and I do what I think is necessary to get the job done.
So let me ask you this. You had touched upon voting, mail-in, and the process, but you probably still don't know when that's going to take place. And let's not forget, you got a couple of elections this year. You got your town election, and then you get a presidential election, hopefully in November.
And we have a September 1st primary.
Primary, right? Correct.
So
correct.
just so you know, they are working on that. The state that has, I have to do what the state tells me to do. So with those two elections, well, first off, nomination papers. That's been a tricky thing too, because the candidates are out there for your state rep, for your, they're all out trying to gather signatures, and people are afraid to sign. So the state's recommended that they need so many signatures to get, I think it's 150 for state rep. And then the list goes on. I'm not sure exactly, but and like I'm going to use Allison Sullivan because she's a live candidate, and I know I'm not promoting anything, but she has to get 150 signatures, and it's not 150 in Whitman, 150 in East Bridgewater, 150 in Abington. It's 150 total. Yeah. So, anyways, what the state has now done, just recently, like within this week, maybe yesterday or Friday or something, is they've made it so that they only have to do half of the signatures required, and we can do electronic signatures. However, they haven't come out with the specifics on the electronic signatures, but they're going to allow for that, and they've extended the deadline by a week. So they've tried to help the candidates. I helped our candidates locally in town. I helped get signatures, which is something that a town clerk should not do, but it got down to where people were afraid to sign. So we've been dealing with that as well, handing papers, nomination papers through the cracks of the doors. And basically what we've been doing is we drop everything that we're doing in the office, and we ask them if they don't mind sitting out in the parking lot, so that we don't have that back and forth. That's, I think the less contact, the better. So we bring the papers in, and we all drop whatever we're doing, and we certify those names right away. A lot of people don't realize that. So any paper you sign has to come to my office, and then we certify all the names to make sure they're registered voters in our community, and we reject those that are illegible or not voters, etc. And the registrars have to sign them all, and then we give them back to the candidate, and then they have to file them with the state in order to meet the requirements to get on the ballot for September. So then they get on the ballot in September, and then if they win, then they're on the ballot in November. But what the state is working on right now is to mail a ballot to every registered voter. And, there's, boy, oh boy, I'm not sure how I feel about that. There's a lot of question about fraud with that. There's just mailing a ballot to every voter in this town. There's 10,000, I think 641 voters. We have inactive voters. Are they mailing it to them? And for the primary, they're only mailing the ballots to the people who are registered in a political party, and the unenrolled or independent voters would have to request a ballot, because that's how the primaries work anyways. But the postage would be paid by the state to mail out, and from what I understand is they're paying for a postage paid envelope to mail it back to the town clerks. And I'm not really sure of the specifics, and they're not sure of the specifics yet. And I'm sure it'll be us clerks who will have to figure those specifics out. They'll make the law, and then we'll have to figure out what works best. And the other hardest part about all of this is I'm short-staffed. I'm finding myself doing things, not that I'm too good for that, but my job is being compromised a little bit. I'm putting some things to the side so I can do the birth certificates and the death certificates and things that my staff does, because they're not here. They're only working 2 days a week. So it's been, and like I said, the demand has been higher, and it's been tough. It's really been tough.
Well, let's talk about another tough part here, and that is the order of the fiscal year for the town itself. Town meeting, and I don't know where things stand with scheduling a town meeting. Town meeting usually going to have, I think Whitman has 2 different quorums. If you have a special, you need X amount of for a quorum, which I think might be 100. And then
150.
150 for a special, and then 100 for the annual, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No, 50. I'm sorry, 50 for the annual.
50, okay. So it sounds like the annual, maybe you can figure something, maybe something can be figured out in that realm, but 150, if you have to do a special, that could be daunting if you have to do it.
Yeah, so the governor has also made it so that the quorums can be changed. So that really hasn't been something that's been discussed. Frank has worked diligently with whoever he works with for these types of things to make all our special articles be within the annual.
And that would be Town Administrator Frank Lyon, who you're mentioning.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. So we're not going to have we always have an annual, and we have a special within the annual. He's worked it out so that all the things that would be on a special town meeting basically is to pay unpaid bills from the current fiscal year, but you can put them in the annual, and that's what he has done. So we are not going to have a special, so that gets rid of the 150 worry, but they are in the annual. They do require a 9/10 vote being in the annual to pay any unpaid bills and things like that. As far as the quorum, I don't think 50 has even been talked about. Town meeting was rescheduled to June 3rd by moderator Mike Seeley. And they are, last night in the Zoom conference we had, they are going to postpone that. And I think they're going to discuss it late at their next scheduled meeting, which I believe is May 5th. The Board of Selectmen for a better date, but I think they want to bump it. I want to say June. They talked about it being the same week as the election. So I think they had talked about June 22nd, possibly bumping it to then. But it's the will of the Board of Selectmen. So whatever they decide. So just keep posted on watching that, and watching the newspaper, watching the website, things like that. That's when you're going to find out. You'll start to see signs out when it's time, and we'll put town meeting, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen today. So like I said, and everything changes every day. So what I'm telling you today, it could all be different tomorrow. And
it's worth me asking you this as well. We're talking about town meeting. You're a department head. You as a department head have to be concerned, because you don't know what's going to happen when it comes to deciding your line item. You know how town meeting is when it comes to line items. Is it going to be something that's going to be voted by the people, or is the state going to be stepping in? And are you going to, is the town going to be operating on 1/12 budgets?
Yeah, those are all good questions, and we have no answers for any of them, to be honest with you. As a department head, I want to do what's best for my office, and I have to be honest. So my expense line for my office, I'm minimal, is $3,000. It's been $3,000 since long before me. We haven't had any increases, but my voting and that one, I increased because I had the presidential and things, but now I'm getting into COVID supplies and different things. So the expenses, they're real, and it's for other departments, it's really real. Our police and our fire and DPW, those are in schools. There are big lines, and this is all stuff that it's new territory, I think, for all of us. But we have to be real still. We're not, we don't take, us general government take very little increases as far as our expense lines. We kind of all pretty much level fund. Some things have to go up, some things don't. But, there's things that we can't control, increases we can't control that have to go, we have union contracts. I don't think I think the fire is the only one that has a union contract that was signed, and I'm not sure how that's going to work. My job in town meeting basically is to record the town meeting. I don't think you'll see the handheld devices, that's for sure. I haven't even talked to moderator Celia about that, but I've talked to the IT director, Josh McNeil, and I don't think we don't even know when town meeting is going to happen. So it's been difficult. And then the school, like you said, we don't,
Who knows? There's
yeah,
definitely a lot of a lot of uncertainty, and who knows
right.
if any of that will be clarified in the coming days and weeks. Anything you want to say that we haven't touched upon before we wrap up our conversation here?
No, I just, what, I just want to say thank you to a lot of the people who have reached out to us, the people on the phone, the residents of Whitman. They've actually been pretty kind to us in understanding when we say, listen, this is what we can do for you. I also think that my office and my staff, we're kind back. We do get people that call us and they're angry, and we try to resolve their issues. We're all working, every department, not just my department. I know Mary Beth, she's been working, with her, she's got customers too, and the building inspector, he's got things that he's still doing in the assessor's office. People who work with the public, we're all working together, and we're working together inside. And, like I said, there are some that get, there are days. Does that make sense? There are days that aren't so good, and there are days that are better. And you just never know what day you're going to be handed when you walk in the door. That's tough.
Don, if folks want to reach out to your department, if they want to reach out to the town clerk's office, what is there? Is there a spot on the town website that they can find your office to contact you?
Yeah, they can go to the town website and get the phone number. It's 781-618-9710. If you have any questions and you're not sure who to call us. We're not going to hang up on you. We're not going to disconnect you. We're going to try and direct you to the proper channels. If you have any questions about anything, if we know the answer, we'll give it to you. If we don't, we'll direct you to who does know the answer. My cell phone number, I hate to give it out, but I've given it out to many, many people because, sometimes people need to reach me, over the weekends and things like that. And that is 781-664-8087. And I always tell people, if I don't answer, leave a voicemail, text me, throw me a text. That's a great way. Hey, Dawn, this is, Kathy, I live in Whitman, and I'd like to know how I can get my birth certificate. You can email me at dawn.varley@whitman-ma.gov. That stuff is all on the town clerk page. So, call me. I am working 4 days a week, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. I come in on the weekends. I come in after hours. I'm doing what I need to do to get the job done. The job still has to get done. and Michael and Mary, they're working, like I said, one of them are here every day with me, just, one at a time. So there's somebody here. If you call and you don't get an answer, call back. It means we're both probably on the phone or something like that. But we're here every day, and we're here to help you. And I understand that people are going through the same struggles as we're going through. I have them at home. I have them here. We all have them.
Dawn, I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Giving us an update. And we will maybe we'll try to check in with you in a couple of weeks to see if there's any update on the information that you provided so far, whether it's town meeting, whether it's elections, anything like that.
Yeah, we still have to have voter registration too. That's what I said. I was looking at my calendar. So as it stands, and I've given you the dates from the other elections, but it looks like May 14th will be the voter registration for town meeting, and you still have to register to vote to participate. And June 17th is for the 27th election. You can go on the Secretary of the Commonwealth's website. I do have to plug that because that's a great website, and go to elections, and you can see if you're a registered voter. You can see so many different things. You can register to vote online. You can download the application that I'm talking about. Just make sure for the local election, for your town election, make sure you download the municipal election early voting form, not the state one, the municipal one. Things like that. But your Secretary of the Commonwealth website, and I don't know, it's SOC something, but go to the elections division, and you can get all your voting information there. If you're not sure what party you're registered in, things like that, and you could always call us. But that's something you can do sitting at home when hey, am I whatever, and you can get your information from there, your forms and stuff. But early vote. Please, everybody, I can't stress it enough. Early vote. And if you need us to mail you a form because you don't have internet or a printer, call us. We'll mail it right out to you. No problem.
Well, that's another great segment that we've had, courtesy a remote version of CrossTalk with our guest, Whitman Town Clerk Dawn Varley. And if you want to see more conversations like this with department heads or folks who are in the know, just general conversations about what's going on in town, WHCA.TV in the subject line, just kind of put the COVID-19 guest, and we'll do our best to schedule those conversations. Until the next conversation, you've been watching CrossTalk. Have a good day.